Hi there. So I thought I'd bring you all along with me on one of these hikes to do the Q&A that I asked in the YouTube community section. So I'm going to go ahead and answer some of these questions, and yeah, hopefully this is interesting for you. We'll see. First question comes from Zach. What kind of direction and feedback do you get when creating music for clients? How do they articulate what they want? Thank you, Zach, my friend. It's a great question. As I was walking up here, I was actually thinking about it, and I was debating about how transparent I wanted to be in answering this, because about a month ago, so the third, I had three big projects that I had been working on since late 2019, early 2020. And about a month ago, the last one that I was working on came to a close, and I have not felt relief like that in a really long time, and it kind of taught me what I want and what I don't want moving forward in the future as far as my career. And I think for the time being, I'm actually taking a step away from writing custom music and scoring for video games or films or VR. Right now, my major priority is YouTube, Bandcamp, and Spotify, and that's it. Those are the only three that I want to worry about over the next coming years at least. But that doesn't answer your question. To answer your question, there's like just such a wide, there's so many gambits. It's such a wide range of working styles of people that I've been lucky enough to work with and unlucky enough to work with in some cases too. I'd say like, okay, I'll put this on a spectrum. So on one end, you have people that I tend to work really well with are people that sort of commission me for an album or for an EP or just a specific amount of music that they need for their project. And then they give me a concept and we go back and forth on ideas, and then I go away by myself and I write the kind of music that I think is appropriate. And then I present that entire thing to them, and then we kind of go back and forth and change bits and pieces of it there. But it mostly stays, it has all of the skeleton of that initial submission that I give. That's what I tend to like working that way, and I think that tends to produce the best results, at least for how I work. And then on the other end of the spectrum, I've worked with people, like for example, there's this director I worked with where I think, to give an analogy, I think he saw everything as, a thistle on his paintbrush. Am I saying that right? Thistles, bristles, thistles. Anyway, he would go through and just sort of tweak every single individual atom in there, to the point where it was like, you kind of felt like, why am I here? Like, what did you hire me for? And so there's that end where that's like, and again, that's kind of an accepted thing now. And so I think a lot of composers have catered to that for so long. And so now there's like this expectation that a lot of directors have, that that's what you do. You're the composer. This is what you do. And I can't do that. That's what I learned the last few years. For better or worse, we'll see what happens. All right, next question comes from Dennis. Oh, Kyle, what software do you use for your choir? Yeah, this is a good question. I get this one a lot. I'm going to do a breakdown video. I'm just going to walk you through kind of my template, because I use a lot. We're going to jump cut from this to the template. Okay, welcome to the Bat Cave. And we're going to go through some choirs here just real quick. So my bread and butter is Enceladus by 8dio, which is this library here. I almost always find an excuse to put those in somewhere. I'm going to try not to take too much time, because this is going to take forever if I talk about each library. So the next one is Silka, which is sort of like the B-sides from Enceladus a little bit, but they've got some more interesting patches, and they've got some cool time stretching capabilities and some cool, just different time signatures too. Like I think there's a 5-syllable patch, which you don't get in the Enceladus ones, which is cool. Yeah, so get the idea there. This I actually haven't used as much. It's another patch of Silco, but it's mostly, I kind of just use it as a vocal pad. That one's just fun for sketching. Next one is another ADO library. This is Requiem. This is a very old library, but the some of the patches in it are just, there's still nothing else as good as what this library produces. So you get like so you have this, it's sort of half phrase based, half like modern library, because you can do legato if you want with it, but excellent library. I use the baritones as well. Right, so this is a cool library. This is probably my favorite solo vocalist library. Yes, this is made by Audio Imperia. It's the Jaeger. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but I think the legato in it is almost perfect. It's so good. I use it all the time. I use this a lot for sketching too, and sometimes I end up taking out the sound or taking out this patch, but I like to generate ideas with something that has that good of a legato in it. Yeah, so Voxos by Cinesamples. This is one of those, you'll like read people on VI Control or somewhere kind of poo-pooing on it because it's an older library, but I love this library. I still think it still does things that I haven't been able to do with other libraries. Mostly what I use it for now is kind of like the phrases that come with it, but I also love the solo soprano in it as well. You can do all kinds of cool stuff with that. Okay, and now we're back to ADO again. This is Liberty. It's the children's choir. So you got these phrases that you can move back and forth between. That one takes quite a bit of MIDI programming to get it to get what you want out of it, but it's an amazing library. Yeah, more installatists. I don't need to keep going through all of these. Yes, Eric Whitaker. So this is the Spitfire library. I mostly only ever use the Evos. I don't use the main patches that came with it. And again, this is one of those I mostly just use it for sketching. And I've got the attack and release set very high, since I use it for sketching, and I often don't know where I'm going until I get there. You can really get you can generate some cool ideas with this. And that's the bulk of it. This is what's in my template. I almost always add more instruments than what's in my template. This is just what I start with. So, yeah, I hope that answers your question. And that leads into this next question quite nicely, which is from Vishnu, asking, what software do you use? Just kind of in general. And I think we're going to jump cut to my computer. Okay, so what software do I use? That's a very wide question, and if I answered it honestly and truthfully, this would be like a 3-hour video. So I'm going to keep this very, very brief. The DAW that I use, my digital audio workstation, is Logic Pro, made by Apple. I've been using this for 10, 11 years, something like that. I've been using this for a long time. There's things about it that bug me, but that's what happens when you use a program for as long as I've used this. It's just part of the territory. So this is what I do all of my music with. Everything that I record samples with comes in here, and also comes in, I use a program called Isotope RX, which I actually need to update. I'm like way far behind, but I kind of don't care because it just works. I use this for denoising. I use this for all kinds of sound design stuff. That's the gist of audio. I'll give you just a quick look at, yeah, let's just look at some of the libraries that I use. So I use Spitfire Harp, still love it, it's great. And then these are all the featured libraries that I have in Contact. So, okay, let's just go through them. So we got Maximo, which is made by Sonokinetic, Spitfire Albion, Chamber Strings, Cinesamples. Oh, yeah, I should talk about this library since I'm here. I love this library, Cinestring Solo. The violin I probably use on almost everything I've ever write that has violin on it. So, yeah, fantastic library, really, really great. Embertone, Freelander violin, another Sonokinetic library, minimal. Cinestrings Core, Contact. Oh yeah, the factory library. I actually used this all like I'm really, really intimately familiar with this library because I used it forever until I started buying third-party libraries. Olafur Arnold's The Composer Toolkit, which I actually don't use very much. I got it for the pads, which are fun, but I need to dig in deeper. The felt grand piano is very, very awesome that comes with it. Spitfire Albion Neo. Yes, Time Micro by Orchestral Tools. So this library this library is fantastic. I'll give you like a really quick little. Okay, so that's kind of your vanilla there. You get these really cool drops. These are really fun textures to add to stuff that you're working on. I generally don't start writing a song with them unless it's for a very specific use case. I love using this library to fill stuff in. So another Sonokinetic Espressivo. I don't use it very much. It's like a horror library. There's some really, really cool really cool patches in it, but it's sort of a one-time use, really. Yeah, and so you can actually hear I have my BPM set to 89, which is really stretching the believability of these samples. So I imagine they recorded it somewhere around like 120. Yeah, they sound much better. The fidelity is a lot higher. Yeah, I could do this forever, so I'm gonna try and not do this forever on this video. Let's keep going. Yeah, Spitfire Aperture Orchestra, Arcane by Embertone, which is kind of a fun one. It's like a puzzle library. The Hammersmith is a grand piano by Sonic Couture, which I don't really use very often anymore. Another Sonokinetic library, Capriccio, Cinewinds, Heaviosity, Una Quarta. Yeah, this one's fun. So this is Niels Fromm collaborated on this library, and I love using this for percussive piano stuff. I just love if you listen to the tick, tick, tick. It's wonderful. It's a lovely layer to throw on top of things. Heaviosity Master Sessions, the ensemble drums. I rarely use these. It's mostly for like, I write under different pseudonyms sometimes, and I have one called Rubric that I use that I tend to write much bigger, epic, kind of a little bit more traditional cinematic and trailer music. So that's usually when I bust this one out. Cinderbrass Core, amazing library. This is yeah. Let's just play the trumpet solo real quick. I think Cinesamples really nails legato. They're quality. sounds absolutely wonderful. And this library's been out for a while. Still killing it. Voxos, which we talked about already. Audio Bro. I don't use this library that often. Spitfire LCOs. Berlin Woodwinds, with an awesome library. Joshua Bell Violin, excellent library. Spitfire Symphonic String Evos, which I don't use super often, but they're kind of fun. Let's just play a patch real quick. Yeah, let's do the Evos. And you can hear it takes a long time for a sound to develop, which is by design. So yeah, you can hear that you could hold that for days and come back and it'd still be different and interesting. Oh yeah, Cinematic Studio Solo Strings. These are fantastic. These are really great. I'm not sure how often I use them anymore, but I love the way they're built and designed. The interface is very intuitive, and I also, if I remember correctly, I'm surprised it's taken this long to load. What is it? Yes, I love the way that the trills are designed. So the way this library works is if you press the key that you want, that's the trill you get. So I get minor, major. Whereas a lot of other libraries, it's sort of just baked in. You press a key and it's either playing major, minor, but this one you just play the notes you actually want and they trill. It's wonderful. I wish every library that had trills did that. Hans Zimmer Spitfire Percussion. Yeah, this library is a beast. I probably should play some of this stuff. This doesn't make it so much on the ambient stuff that I tend to release under my own name as much, but I use this a lot for work projects and for pseudonyms. You got this really cool cymbal up here, which I love. Okay. Yeah, I guess let's keep going. Keep going. We're gonna keep going. And what do we got down here? Oh yes, okay, I do have to talk about this library. Olaf Arnold's chamber strings. This library is just remarkable. This, I imagine, if you're familiar with my music, you will probably recognize this patch. It's a wonderful library. And Spitfire solo strings I use fairly often. British Drama Toolkit I never use. LCO, yes, this one's awesome. The textures. This is like a really, really cool pad library. Let's pick a different one. So that's just a quick and dirty look at the instruments that I use. It doesn't even come close to scratching the surface. And there's a lot of custom stuff that I've built that I haven't even shown you yet. But that'll be, if you're curious about that, we'll work that into another video. But yeah, that's in a nutshell a very, very tiny nutshell, the software that I use on a day-to-day basis. This next question is from Zach. Do you ever jam with other musicians? If you could play with any other musician, who would you choose? This is a really good question. It's one I haven't thought about in a while too, because my background, at least in music, I was in rock bands for years, decades actually. It's probably from like age 15 till just about 3.5, 4 years ago. That was basically what my music life consisted of, was being in different rock bands and jamming with everyone, really. I said yes to everything. I kind of wanted to learn from everybody. But yeah, now that's definitely changed. I've really developed a strong sense and belief and taste in classical music. And so that question has definitely shifted over the years for me. So recently, it was about probably 5 years ago, I think I discovered a composer named Maurice Ravel. He's a French impressionist composer, is usually what he's labeled as. And he is just, in my opinion, he's just absolutely remarkable. There's never been anyone else before or since like him. And he was one of those, I wish I could remember the first piece of his I heard. I think it was on his Daphne and Chloé ballet that he wrote. I'll link it below. I think I'll remember. I need to go back and check my notes. But the first time I heard this, it was the first time I heard this, within the first 30 seconds, this was like the first time in my life this has ever happened. I heard someone who hears music the same way that I do, but on such a level of like just terrifying complexity and orchestration skills, and it just blew my mind how dreamy his music sounds and is and makes me feel. And I just knew it in my bones that I found my guy. I found someone who hears things the same way that I do, and he'd created this entire world around it that I'm still barely understanding or getting a grasp of. So yeah, that's a long-winded answer to your question, Zach, but I would just love to sit over his shoulder and watch him play piano. I would love to see how he made creative choices and how he got to where he did, in terms of the end result of his music. Because oh god. But yeah, I mean, before classical music entered my life, I probably would have said, I mean, Jimi Hendrix would be up there, like as far as like another, just like out of like, he's like an alien, like where the hell did he come from kind of thing. I would have loved to like just hang out with him for a week, just see what his life was like, and watch him create. That would be one. Yeah, another one, maybe Tool would be a band that I would just, I don't even know if I'd want to, jam with them. I just want to be there while stuff's getting made. I think that would be pretty cool. And the last question comes from Matt, who asks, can you please explain the story or inspiration behind We Made It, We Finally Made It? It is the composition that resonates most with me. Love it. Thank you, Matt. I appreciate your kind words. Yeah, that one, man, I haven't thought about that in so long. So that song is the last piece from an EP that I wrote in 2014 called The Tale of Lucius Livius. Actually, that's not true. I published it in 2014. I actually wrote it in 2013. I waited a long time to put it out there because, frankly, I was just really, really insecure and nervous about it. And the reason for that being is it was one of the first kind of ambient, more soundscapey things that I had done in my life. Like I said before, most of the work that I'd been doing had been in rock and some jazz stuff here and there, but mostly rock. And yeah, that song. So yeah, that's actually a really big question to answer now that I'm thinking about it, because that album or that EP I wrote entirely start to finish the way that it ended up, releasing it, all those songs in order. That's the order that I wrote it, and that's exactly how I kind of heard everything in my head. But that particular song, Matt, is so give you a little autobiography a little bit. My wife and I moved to Seattle in 2013. We moved from Columbus, Ohio, and for probably we both graduated, and we moved out to Seattle without a job. We didn't have any friends. We didn't have any contacts. We didn't know anyone, and it was probably one of the most insecure periods of my life. But yeah, we were here. We were in this apartment, and I just kept thinking, like, okay, this, Seattle's a really expensive city to live in, especially coming from where we did. I, realized that our financial runway was going to run out pretty soon, and I started recognizing that I couldn't keep doing the same things that I did in Columbus that worked. There's not enough money in rock bands at all anymore, really, but especially to exist in Seattle. That's not a good life strategy. So I started thinking, okay, I need to find other ways of paying rent. I need to pay off student loans, all that stuff. And so I started thinking, okay, maybe I could compose for games. Maybe I could compose for movies. And I've always liked soundtracks. I've listened to Hans Zimmer and Howard Shore and for years, Thomas Newman too. But it never really occurred. I never thought I had the skill set to do that, because I would think, you go to school for that. You study under some classical composer for a decade before you're allowed to write music for film, and that's absolutely not true at all. But I didn't know that at the time, and so I needed to prove to myself that I could write music like that I was proud of. And finally, we're reaching the end of the answer here, Matt, is that song, We Finally Made It, came from a place of part autobiography, part kind of this world that I created about this guy I saw in my head called Lucius Livius. And essentially, the title is really about, like, it was about me convincing myself that I actually could do this, that I had the confidence and skills to kind of do it. And B, it was another thing of just like this elation of, like, my wife and I had moved to Seattle, and we were kind of making it work at this point, and it was, we're beginning at this point to feel less insecure about our existence here, and that felt really good. It felt like a really strong sense of, holy shit, we're here, we made this work, and that's what that song means to me. It's all of those things. I was trying to make sure that it captured all of the insecurity, all of the doubt, but also all of the pride that came from succeeding at something. So, okay, so hopefully that was interesting for you. This actually felt really good for me to talk to the camera like this. It's kind of like, I don't want to say it's therapy, because it's not, but it does feel, this feels good. I hope this is useful for you. Probably do this again soon, but I definitely would like to start incorporating more of a vlog style to this channel. So let me know if you have any other questions. Put them in the comments. Love to keep this dialogue going. So thank you for watching.